So how does that fit into neuroplasticity? Well, one of the things that you would do, and one of the things that's happened recently in the visualization crew, is we set a vision starting back in November. So the crew had done a visualization. They imagined what their life would be like, and for each one of the crew, they have a different story of what the ultimate 12 months would look like. So the idea is that you go forward in 12 months in time. You have this intense visualization that I guide you through. We use all sorts of neurological tips and tricks and techniques to amplify and to create the feeling and to fire the emotional response to see what it would feel like when you're there. And that creates that neuroplasticity as your brain is sort of adapting and adjusting using the creative imagination. When we do that, what happens is your body responds like it's there. So it responds like you've already achieved it, because it's the same apparatus that you have when you have a dream. When you have a dream, sometimes you wake up and you feel like you're still there, or the thing that you dreamed about happened. That's because chemically in your body, you've emotionally responded to what you dreamt about. And we use that same apparatus when we're visualizing. And the reason being is it creates a higher degree of strength and neuroplasticity and neurologically in your brain. Put simply, when you start to powerfully fire these neural pathways of the future that you want to create, your brain starts to wire them. That's why when you see things like, for instance, when you start to imagine what it would be like to have something in your life, you then notice it everywhere, because you're neurologically, you've wired those things that you want in your life. You start to see them everywhere. And that's when you start to attract opportunities into your life. And the whole point of doing that is that you want to then start to recognize opportunities so you can take the steps towards them. Many times the goals are done in very incremental steps. There's very rarely just one big leap. So what you want to get in the habit of is starting to identify and notice what it is that you need to do. So imagine it this way. Imagine that you have a huge goal. And that huge goal is this would be the most incredible sequence of events if you could get this in your life. So imagine that you become financially free and you have a really successful business and your family are incredibly happy and you stay in this dream house and you are able to fly all over the world and decide how you want to live your life. And you imagine that you have this, vision of what it would be like, and you start to then really get into it, like really start to imagine what it'd be like if you were there, and you feel the emotions that you would feel. You would see the things that you'd see, just like when you go on holiday or before you go on holiday, and you imagine what it's like being there and imagine what the beach is like, and you essentially prime your body to respond chemically with those happy emotions. The more you do that in a vision, the more intense those neural pathways become. And with that intensity also, you start to draw yourself towards the opportunities that will take you there. So that, in essence, is what these experts are saying. Guys like Andrew Huberman, guys like Dr. Joe Dispenza, they're telling you that the brain operates this way. I've recorded a video series where I go into detail about the science behind this, because there's been a lot of cited cases over the years where essentially science wanted to test if this was the case. Can visualization actually impact your results? And if it does, then to what degree? So you'll need to keep an eye out for that one, because we go deep into the topic of how that works.